All right, you guys. In this lesson, we will be going over the cold calling script on how you're going to be talking to sellers. And I have a guy who runs my whole sales team, my whole sales funnel. So, Sean, you want to introduce yourself, kind of explain like your background in sales and how crucial this part of the business is? That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. How's it going, everybody? So, I work as the sales manager for the team, and my job is to make sure that as many deals that come across, get closed and gets everybody paid. The best way to do that in sales, I mean, nobody likes to do it, but you got to do cold calling. You got to get out there and start scraping for deals. Leads aren't going to just fall from the sky for you. It's a crucial thing to do. But you know what? In all honesty, it all depends on your perspective. You can have a lot of fun doing it. Some people, you get some interesting calls and you got some interesting stories to share. So,
I have this titled the cold calling script, but what we're going to be going over is not necessarily a script. We're going to be going over a structure. Because I put right here in these parentheses, we don't believe in scripts because you really can't predict what a phone call is going to be like. There's times where newbies and beginners reached out to me. They downloaded a script online and it was a word for word of what to say on the phone. They were just reading it. And as soon as it goes off topic, they don't know what to say at all. And this is factual. You can't predict what a phone call is going to be like. And we want to set everybody up who's watching this for the best possible chances of closing a deal. So we're not going to tell them what the call is going to be like. We're going to give them a structure on how the call is going to be structured. It's going to be structured in three different phases. You got the greeting and intro stage, discovery stage, and then the closing stage. It's easier when you structure a call like that and you understand which stage of the phone call you're in. And now you're not just following a script, you're following more of a structure. Is that pretty understandable, Sean?
yeah, and that makes sense. Not every call is going to be the same, and that's why I tell the guys that work under us now, don't cookie cut it. With what works on someone else isn't going to work on the next 10 people. Yeah, it's very important that you have a structure that you can always refer back to when the conversation does kind of veer off the rails a little bit. You have an anchor point that'll bring you back, and you just pick it right back up. So
Exactly.
you have to do what works best for you within certain guidelines to make sure that you get all the information, so you're not going back and forth collecting information bit by bit, because now you don't look professional.
Exactly. Moving forward from that, we're gonna get into this. We're gonna get into the structure. We're not gonna be calling it a script anymore. We're gonna be calling it the cold call structure. We're gonna be getting into the first part of the structure, Sean. This is the most important part of the phone call. This is the first 10 seconds of the phone call. It's the greeting. And this is what makes or breaks the cold call. Explain to the viewers the greeting and intro stage, kind of what you tell everybody under you what to get from the stage, all these things in the greeting stage.
First thing that the guys do, when we get them in there for their calls, is they immediately identify themselves and why they're calling. And then it's usually sounds something like, hi, my name is Sean. You spoke with one of my assistants about a property that you're looking to sell. Hi, my name is Sean. You went on my website and, expressed interest in selling this property. Or if you're cold calling and you're generating your own leads and you're grinding, you start a place like Zillow and you're checking for properties that have been on market for a long time. There's your in. You say, hey, my name is Sean. I see you've got a property that you've been trying to sell for over 100 days. I'm actually kind of interested in it. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? Done. 10 seconds.
Yep, definitely. And in that first 10 seconds, you pretty much introduce yourself, you let them know why you were calling and what you were trying to get out of the phone call. That's
Exactly.
kind of what those first 10 seconds are for. You don't want to be blabbering for 40 seconds and you didn't even tell them why you were calling. They're just going to hang up the phone. Before we get into that next stage, there may be some times where you're in the greeting stage and they say no, they don't want to sell. After the no, what are your first responses?
My first response is, all right, thank you so much for letting me know. Do you have any other properties that you are interested in selling?
Yep,
Because you never know. They
exactly.
may not be selling the house that they're currently living in, but they inherited a property 5 years ago that they're paying the property taxes on every single month, and now you just sparked
Exactly.
that by asking. So, and it doesn't hurt.
Yep.
It's an extra what, 2 3 seconds on the phone.
Let's say they don't have any properties they're looking to sell and they just aren't interested? Are we just throwing this lead away, or are we going to follow up with it? What are we doing with this one?
Typically what you want to do is you want to put that in your follow-up pile, and you want to set them on a follow-up for every 30 days.
Because you never know what can happen, Sean, right? Some can happen
Exactly.
within those 30 days, and they may really spark interest in selling. Yep.
And when I
So
call them back, I usually, keep it very light. Just, hey, it's Sean. Just, I talked to you a month ago, just checking in on you, seeing if you're interested in selling yet. And that's it. Done.
eventually they will sell. It's just a matter of when they're going to sell. So we want to stay on
Exactly.
top. You want to stay on top of them. Now,
Of
let's
course.
say they say, "Yeah, I'm interested in selling," and now we're in the discovery and building rapport stage. Explain what we get out of this discovery stage, like the 4 pillars. Explain those, and explain the importance of getting all of this information to classify it as an actual lead, and to push it to closing.
The building rapport, like you said, it's very important. And here's another thing that I don't think is said enough. It needs to be genuine. People nowadays, they're immersed in all these calls. They're getting calls all the time. They're getting robocalls all the time. They know the score, they know the script. If you're genuinely genuine, it will stand out. There are people that we closed a deal on 2 years ago that I still text.
It also increases your chances of closing because obviously hundreds of people are calling the seller, right? There, you can only say a script so many times. You can only say a script so many ways. You could only ask how old the roof is so many ways. What really sets yourself apart with from people is how well can you connect with them? Well can you build rapport? How well can you make that seller want to do business with you versus the other 99 wholesalers that want to buy from them and flip their deal?
Exactly.
So
Because that's one of the rules that's always come through on sales is people will do business with people they like.
yep. So okay, so we have the importance of building the rapport, right? Let's get into the discovery. There's 4 pillars in the discovery stage defined. You have the 4 pillars: condition, timeline, price, and motivation, which we have on the script. We have a couple things on how we get this stuff out of sellers. Sean, you probably have a couple different ways of how to get this information. Is
Correct.
a play by play basis, and it's different every time. You may ask for the price first instead of the condition. Timeline might get brought up first. It flip flops sometimes, right? Would you say so?
Yeah, yeah, and that's one of the big important takeaways from this is that you really got to know what you're talking about. You got to know how you want to conduct all these calls ahead of time, because there are people that will jump all over the place, and you need to be able to keep up with them while still knowing what questions still need to be asked and what the flow needs to be.
And if you guys watch and have a lead that you need help getting this information out, we would be happy to help you guys. Sean would be happy to show you. I mean, Sean, how long have you been in sales?
Years. Most of my working career has been in sales.
A long time. I would say the best way to learn is being on those 3-way calls and learning. Starting with the condition, right? You can either use this line, or if you want to explain some other lines you use to get the condition out of a seller, let us know. What's the best ways? What ways don't work?
Personally, for example, I'm a fan of letting the seller tell me a story. I usually say, so, if I'm buying this house, I need to know what kind of condition it's in. Tell me a story about your house. And then I shut up. So they will run down everything that they have rehabbed on the house, everything that they wanted to rehab on the house. And just as much as people like to brag, they like to complain. So if something is broken in the house, they're going to complain about that too, especially if they weren't the ones that broke it, if it's like a tenant situation. You can keep it general. You can say, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the outside of your house? You'd rate it a 7. Okay, why would you rate it a 7? You can go that route.
Exactly.
Whatever makes you feel more comfortable getting the information.
Obviously, we don't want to be a robot on the phone and just go. So tell me, how old's the roof? How old's the HVAC? How old's this? How old's that?
Yeah, you don't
They,
want to do
they
that.
they hear this all the time. They're probably just going to be real straight up with you and real dry answers. Figure out a different way to not sound like all the other people. Timeline is pretty simple, and it's kind of how quick are you trying to move out of this property? Do you have any other lines, or is that pretty much something you would say as well, Sean?
No, I like that, especially with all of the different options, whether it be, wholesaling, something creative, a novation deal. That 3 weeks to 3 months covers all of that. So when you come back to them with the solution or the offer, then you've got all those already built in.
Why are we going to try to get the price first and then get the motivation last?
Well, one thing you want to do is, at least for me, I don't know how appropriate this is for the video. when I'm talking to someone and I get to the price, if they're asking for something completely astronomically ridiculous, then I know I'm dealing with someone that's probably going to waste my time. So price should be the last thing that anyone is afraid to ask. I've never had any fear of asking someone the price. And if people give me any lip about that, I say, look, I'm not here to waste your time. I'm not here to have my time wasted. I'm here to buy a house. So if you're interested in selling, I need a place to start. If you don't want to give me a price, hey, I'll give you $1. Or something like that, and I make a joke. And usually
Yep.
it gets them laughing, and then yeah, they say, okay, fine, I need to get X amount of dollars for it.
This is a sales no-no. Like, should we ever
No,
give them our number first?
no, no. We don't want to give them our number first under any circumstances. I mean, it has to be going up against like someone as stoic as the Terminator. We're just not going to get anything out of them. In order. And even then, I'd say, hey, maybe just pass on a deal because you're probably wasting your time. We don't give our price first. There's a lot of different ways you can get the price out of them. You can come at them very direct, like I usually do.
I mean, there's so many different ways to go around
And
it.
that's the
It's
problem. Yeah, like there's so many different ones. Like we can write this script can be 100 pages just going over different variations of how the call can go.
We're not saying after you read the script you're going to be a cold call wizard. It's still going to take practice. It's still going to take you, if you guys want to work with Sean on deals and hop on three-way calls with him, we'd be more than happy to hop on a three-way call with you guys, and you guys can learn every single line on how to get the price out of a seller. But there's just so many ways to do it and go around it that it wouldn't be able to fit on the script. Now, the last one is motivation. How important is it to get that motivation to help us close a deal?
It's funny because you said earlier they're all tied for first, and it's I really want to say it's the most important, but there are other ones that are also very, very important. If someone doesn't have motivation, you shouldn't even be wasting your time talking to them. And it's important to find out what their true motivation is, because their true motivation will at the same time pull out whatever their objection could be, which will help you get ahead of it. And I always say something along the lines of, hey Calvin, you know what, man? We talked about your property, and it seems like a nice place. It needs a little bit of work, but you got a tenant in there. They're not giving you any issues. What am I missing? Why do you want to sell it? And when you
Exactly.
word it like that, just that nonchalant, and no matter where you put it, but that's just how I do it. But when you word it like that, they'll give you an answer, and then you say, well, tell me more about that. Or me, I like playing dumb. Well, I don't understand. What do you mean? No matter what they say, they could say, oh, I just don't want to be a landlord anymore. I understand. What do you mean? I'll say, what do you mean you don't want to be a landlord anymore? You're getting money every single month. You got a good tenant. What do you mean? Then they'll say,
Exactly.
well, I'm getting old. Okay, so what? You're just collecting a check. What do you mean? I just keep playing stupid until they finally I get to, you know what? I'm retiring. Me and my wife want to travel, and I can't travel with a clear head, knowing that I got tenants where something could break down. Now I know the real answer, what his motivation is. He wants freedom. He
Yep.
wants freedom
And
from his
now,
tenants, and he wants to,
yep.
to go enjoy a vacation.
Once we have the true motivation, Sean, once we overcame the, oh, I'm just looking to sell, oh, I'm just trying to not be a landlord anymore. And we reveal the true motivation. Now we can use their motivation to really pound through what we're trying to offer and how we can solve their problem to solve their motivations. We're going to use this motivation to close.
Right. And I
Yep.
understand how someone who is not in the business, that may sound manipulative. Let me say it is not manipulative because they actually want to sell their house. We're not convincing them to do anything that they don't want to do. He, in this case, wants to sell his house so that he can go on vacation. So uncovering the true motivation is the fastest way to get the seller what they're looking for.
And also because we're solving problems. Let's say they uncovered their true motivation was their auction is in 3 days or something, and they were just too embarrassed to say they were in foreclosure. And we found out their auction was in 3 days. Now we can say, hey, if we can get this done and we can close in 3 days, we need to be here. And we're really emphasizing that closing in 3 days. If we can solve that problem of not having them get foreclosed on, and we can close in 3 days. Now we're solving problems, and we're using her motivation not to manipulate but really solve this person's problem. So it's not to manipulate, it's to figure out the actual problem and how we can provide a win-win solution for both parties. Right, we got all four
Yep.
pillars. We have a classified lead.
Brett?
It's not a lead till we have all four. If we don't have all four, we're going to keep on hounding the seller until we have all four. If a wholesaler submits something in our JV form and they call it a lead, we're expecting all four pillars. There's all four pillars identified, correct?
That is correct.
If they're not, explicitly state that it's just a prospect and you're looking at for help on getting one pillar or something. That word lead gets thrown around a lot, and a lot of leads aren't really leads. Now we have to move on to the most crucial stage, and this is because we can do thousands of cold calls, but we don't make any money unless we can perform in the closing stage. Correct.
Correct.
This stage can be a little scary for newbies, Sean, right?
Yeah, this is the one. Like I've done sales my whole working career, but it's always scary the first few times, especially going in by yourself. You don't want
Yep.
to say the wrong thing. You don't want to offer too much. You don't want to offer too little. You know what? I get it. It's scary. I get it.
So guys that are new and you guys are kind of feeling that anxiety of closing deals, we're willing to help you guys out. Sean will get on the phone with you. Another person from our team will get on the phone with you guys and actually help you close the seller and help you kind of learn that process because like again, you can read and you can watch YouTube videos all you want. That anxious feeling, that nervous feeling will never leave until you actually get into the playing field. It's a real easy way to ease in when you're on a three-way call with one of us and you can kind of learn firsthand on experience with me, you, or Sean, you, and the seller, and you can really take notes and kind of hone your skills that way. But now, Sean, the closing stage, obviously, you can close a seller thousands of different ways, and you can
Yeah,
approach it through different ways. Obviously, there's different types of closing techniques for different types of sellers. You got the old kind of gentle lady, you got the stern mid-30s man that's thinks he's a sales guy. You got all
yeah,
these different types of characters. So it's really hard to kind of cover every single closing technique. So that's
yeah.
not what we're gonna do explaining the script on the closing stage. Just kind of explain what we do in the closing stage, kind of some things that we touch on.
Sure. Yeah, so we added some things that kind of carry across just about all the different situations. You can kind of use these to hopefully gear you guys in the right direction. If you need deeper help, just you guys fill out the form and one of us will get on the call and we'll actually show you. And that's how I learned. So like I said, I'm a career salesman. I've been doing sales and closings ever since I've been working. But when I got into this business, I had to hear someone do it a couple of times and then a couple of times in different scenarios before I really was able to wrap my head around the whole thing. One thing that you can do, you can always reiterate their pain that they told you when you got the information from them about why they're selling, their motivation. If you did a
Yep.
good job at finding out what their real motivation is, you should be able to find an anchor to bring them back to when you're talking about the offer, when you're trying to close the deal. Okay. That's going to help you help them realize that I'd much rather have the money or the offer or the solution than this property that is causing me pain and or stopping me from doing something that I want to do.
Yep.
Another thing that you can do, if you've got someone that's asking just a little bit too much, everyone loves their property more than everyone else's. You pull some really good comps on your property, your subject property, and let them know like, hey, look, I know you're looking for this amount, but I got three properties over here that's less than a mile from your place that are the same bedrooms and bathrooms and just about the same square footage, and they sold for a lot less, and those were renovated. That's a good tactic to use to get them to work on the price and get the deal closed. You can reiterate how much, and this doesn't work for all of them, but if you've got one that's got a heavy rehab or even a medium rehab, you
Yep.
can reiterate to them how much labor costs are for contractors, how much materials have gone up in the last 3 years. That's a big one. And how much time it's going to take for you to do the rehab to the property before you can even do anything with it to turn a profit. That's
Exactly.
another strategy you can do.
I forgot to mention the closing stage. It doesn't have to be the first phone call, and most of the times it's not going to be the first phone call.
No,
We
you
want to get
probably don't want it to be.
yep, and we want to establish that it's a lead. If you're a newbie and you're a beginner, even if you're advanced, you almost want to tell the seller like, "Hey, let me crunch my numbers and let me see what works." For me, I appreciate you getting back to me on all the details of the property. I'll get back to you within an hour of where I need to be at. Now you can do your estimates, you can do your, and you can find your MAO, your maximum allowable offer. And
Right.
then you're gonna come to the next phone call, and this will be the closing stage. You can come to the negotiation table prepared. So after a successful close, right? We just
Right.
explain what happens in the closing stage. We pretty much agree on the number. We negotiate. We try to get seller the closest to our MAO. And once we get a verbal agreement, that's when the
Yeah.
contract goes out, and we're in contract. That's the whole process right there.
Not necessarily. That's half the process. You got to get the contract filled out for one,
Yep. Oh,
which is
yep.
something that can be taught, and then two, you got to actually sell it to an investor so you can get paid. So you're actually only halfway done at that point.
Halfway done. Yep,
Yeah.
that's where we step in, and we're willing to work with you guys on closing the deal. If you guys need help, we're willing to help you guys. If you guys don't have the contracts, we put a link in here, literally right here. If you don't have your own contracts, click the link, and we'll give you free contracts to use. If you guys don't know how to fill out contracts, reach out to us. You can use our contracts, and we'll help you fill them out and send them to the sellers. So you guys don't have to feel confused anywhere in the pipeline of the deal. As soon as you get the deal, we're willing to help you guys even dispo the deal. We do about 15 to 20 deals a month, and we dispo a lot of deals to a lot of buyers who are looking to buy. If you guys are looking to kind of mitigate that process, we'll help you JV as well. And most standard JVs are 50/50s. We want to work with you. We understand that you guys did most of the work. We understand it's just us reaching out to a buyer using our network that we established over time. And we're willing to give you a majority cut and give you 60% instead of 50% like a standard JV. That's the benefits of working with us and our team. We just want to help you guys. We want to see you grow. We want to see you do the most deals you can. And if we can be a part of that, we'd love to. And if we can be responsible for helping your guys' company grow, we'd love to be a part of that as well. If we didn't touch on anything that you guys were looking for, comment it in under this course. We'll make a part 2 video if we have to. And that's pretty much it. We appreciate you guys watching. Go get those deals, go hit those phones, and we'll see you guys in the next lesson. And also, guys, we'll drop all the links to the contracts, the JV form, how you guys can connect with us in the course below. We have it in the PDF for the scripts. We'll include all that stuff. You guys won't have a problem reaching out and being able to connect with us. Links will be in the course description. And yeah, good luck.